I walked onto my own land and found a demolition crew tearing my mansion apart, and the HOA president was just standing there, clipboard in hand, smiling. The air smelled of diesel exhaust and the screech of metal on wood. I watched them rip apart my 100-year-old oak staircase, the one I'd spent weeks dreaming of restoring, turning it into splinters on the lawn. 6 months before, I'd bought this place for $127,000 at auction. Blackwood Manor, a 1920s lakefront dream on Lake Willow, upstate New York. 6 bedrooms, 2 acres, 200 feet of private waterfront. It was a wreck, sure, but I'm a Navy Seabee. 20 years of rebuilding bridges in war zones. This felt like a salvage job, not a struggle. So I took a 3-month job in Alaska, a quick way to bank some cash for the Reno. I came home to this. The woman with the clipboard, Vivian Cross, was a local real estate agent, HOA president, and apparently a professional thief. I mean, what would you have done? Called the cops? Or done what I did? Let me take you back to where this all started, because every good fight has a reason worth fighting for. I spent 20 years in the Navy, in the construction battalion. We built airstrips in the middle of nowhere, bridges under fire, barracks in 120-degree heat. Good work, honest work. But in my 18th year, a training accident left me with shrapnel in my left leg, and I walk with a limp now. I got a medical retirement at 45, disability checks, and a toolbox full of skills nobody wanted to hire. I did carpentry side jobs, deck repairs, kitchen remodels, just to stay afloat. My grandmother, Clara, raised me in a 2-bedroom apartment in Syracuse. She cleaned houses for a living, never owned a thing, just rented and moved and rented again. But she had this habit. She'd clip pictures from magazines, lakefront homes, big porches, docks stretching into blue water. She'd tape them inside her closet door and whisper, "One day, baby, one day we'll have a place like that." She died when I was 23. Never got her lake house. Fast forward a couple years ago. I'm scrolling auction listings. Probably should have been job hunting, and I see it. Blackwood Manor. Foreclosure, estate sale, lakefront. Starting bid, $195K. The photos looked like a horror movie set. But I saw the hand-carved oak staircase. The stone fireplace built in 1924. Solid craftsman bones under all that rot. Auction day came, and I was the only bidder. It closed at $127,000. I liquidated everything, my savings. My truck fund, even took out a VA rehab loan for $147K. My daughter, Maya, saw the pictures and said, "Dad, that's not a fixer-upper. That's a felony waiting to happen." The first time I walked through, the smell hit me like a wall. Wet plaster, mouse droppings, something dead somewhere. Broken glass crunched under my boots. But sunlight poured through busted shutters, turning the dust motes into gold, and I ran my hand over that oak newel post, smooth and cool. Generations of hands before mine. I swear I felt Clara watching. I had it all mapped out. 18 months of work. Foundation, electrical, roof, woodwork. Day 3, a white Range Rover parks at my driveway's end. Out steps this woman, mid-60s, helmet of ash blonde hair, a pastel cardigan, a clipboard gripped like a warrant. She didn't wait for my answer. "Mr. Grant," she said, "Vivian Cross, Architectural Review Board Chair for Willow Estates HOA. Blackwood violates 17 codes and 4 covenants. You have 30 days to submit plans for approval." I blinked. "Ma'am, I'm not in an HOA. My deed says no covenants." Her smile was all teeth, no warmth. "Oh, honey, the plat map was amended in 2003. You bought in whether you knew it or not. Your title company missed it. Not my problem." She clicked back to her car, wouldn't step on the gravel like poverty was contagious, and left. I hired a structural crew, 3 good guys, to shore up the sagging north wall. Winter was 4 months out. Day 2 of work, a county inspector pulls up. He slapped a red tag on my front door. "Work stop order. Permits incomplete. Foundation surveys off by 18 inches. Need a new survey. 6 to 8 weeks processing. All work ceases immediately." He walked back to his truck, boots crunching the gravel loud enough to wake the dead. I called the survey company. "Our measurements were accurate to the inch, Mr. Grant. The permit review committee flagged it. There's a vice chair's signature on the hold order." I didn't need 3 guesses. That night, my contractor, Lyle, called. "Marcus, I can't keep my crew idle for 2 months. I got mortgage payments." I sat alone in Blackwood that evening on the grand staircase, the only piece of furniture in the place. The half-raised wall gaped open to the November wind. The lake lapped against the dock. It used to sound peaceful, but now it sounded like mocking laughter. I sat there for an hour staring at that wall, thinking maybe my daughter was right. Maybe this was a teardown. Maybe I should just sell and take the loss. Then I looked down. My hand was resting on that oak newel post. Smooth, cool, 100 years of other hands. I thought about Clara in that cramped apartment taping magazine pictures inside her closet. One day, baby, and I said to myself, screw that. I wasn't done. The next morning, I drove to the county clerk's office down into the basement archives, a place that smells like old paper and government neglect. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like dying wasps. I pulled every plat map, every zoning amendment, every HOA document from 1990 to the present. 3 nights of gas station coffee until my eyes burned. And then I found it. That 2003 amendment Vivian kept waving around. The one that supposedly tied Blackwood to the HOA. It was never ratified by the county legislature, just the town council. I remembered something from a construction law class the Navy made me take. Town councils can't impose deed restrictions on existing properties without higher approval. It's selective enforcement, an illegal game they call spot zoning in New York. And Vivian's signature was right there on the petition. Her late husband, the judge, her buddy Ron, the dentist, they all owned lots next to Blackwood. I cross-checked property records. After that amendment passed, their property values jumped 30%. They'd rigged the game to squeeze out Blackwood's original owners. I scanned 18 pages, drafted a 6-page memo at 2 a.m. with shaking hands, and emailed the full town council, copying the local paper and the state attorney general's HOA fraud hotline. By Thursday, the town council scheduled an emergency session. Translation, panic mode. Vivian called me on Friday. "Marcus," she said, her voice dripping fake warmth like poisoned honey. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. Let's have coffee. Work this out like neighbors." I was standing in Blackwood's skeleton, looking at the tarp flapping in the wind over that half-finished wall. "I'll take my coffee at the next council meeting, Vivian. Public comment period." Silence. Then I heard it. Her nails, sharp little clicks against her phone. A tight breath. "You're making a mistake," I said. "Probably not my first. Definitely won't be my last." I hung up, and that night I installed 4 security cameras. Every angle covered. If she wanted war, I'd document every battle. 2 weeks later, at the monthly HOA meeting, I walked in and knew immediately I'd been outplayed. Vivian had beaten me there by 2 hours. Every seat had a glossy, full-color flyer on it, professionally printed. The header was in bold red. Safety concerns at Blackwood Manor. The flyer claimed my unsecured site was attracting trespassers, creating environmental hazards, and that my unlicensed electrical work could spark a fire. Every word was a lie, but it looked true. Vivian sat at the head table, hands folded, that pearl necklace gleaming under the fluorescent lights. She smiled at me, the smile of someone holding a royal flush. 3 neighbors testified, all of them ARB members or relatives. One woman claimed her property value had dropped $40,000. Then Vivian stood, proposing an emergency bylaw that would allow the HOA to declare any uninhabitable structure left unoccupied for 90 days a public nuisance and have it demolished. Costs would be billed to the owner. She paused, letting that sink in. "We're not targeting anyone. This is about protecting our community." When public comment opened, I walked to the front calmly, pulled out my phone, and connected it to the projector. "Before you vote," I said, my voice level, "you should see this first image." It was time-stamped security footage from my cameras. 11:14 p.m., 3 nights prior. Ron, the dentist, pulling up to my dock in his pickup, dumping a hefty bag of empty beer cans onto the grass. You could see his license plate clear as day. The room went dead silent. Ron turned the color of old oatmeal. Second image. Water quality test results from an independent lab. 0 pollutants near my shoreline. A second report, though. Elevated bacteria levels near 346 Lakeshore Drive. That's one of your rental properties, Vivian. Leaking septic tank. Cost me $220 to test. Worth every penny. Third, a printout from my lawyer buddy at the VA. Turns out passing a rule specifically to punish someone who already owns property is what lawyers call retroactive application, basically illegal in every state with functioning courts. Her bylaw was just theater. I looked straight at Vivian. Mrs. Cross, I don't know if you're trying to steal my home or if you just can't stomach the idea of someone like me, a guy with a limp and a VA check, owning a piece of this lake. Either way, I'm not going anywhere. And if that bylaw passes, I'll see you in court. Fraud and selective enforcement don't tend to play well there. Silence. Then a reporter in the press section started clapping, slow and deliberate. 3 other people joined in. Vivian's face went from pale to crimson in 2 seconds. She stood, grabbed her folder, and walked out without adjourning the meeting. Then Vivian changed tactics. Since the HOA route had blown up in her face, she went back to what she knew best, weaponizing her planning commission connections. For 3 days straight, I got hit with violations from different county departments. Overgrown vegetation, native wildflowers I was preserving, an open foundation violation, a crawl space vent required by code, unsecured hazardous chemicals, my paint cans stored in a locked metal cabinet. Each fine was $500 a day. Total potential fines, $15,000. It would wipe out what was left of my Reno budget. I sat in my pop-up camper that night staring at those citations and wondered if Clara would have wanted me to destroy myself over a house. Maybe the smart move was surrender. Then my phone rang. Lyle, my old contractor. Marcus, I heard what she's doing. It's garbage, man. Look, I can't do full-time, but weekends I'm yours. Free labor. You just cover materials. My throat went tight. 10 minutes later, my neighbor Elena called. Marcus, I saw who dumped that dead raccoon. I got his plate number. I'll sign an affidavit. That's 2, I thought. 2 people willing to stick their necks out. The 3rd call came that evening from Beth, the reporter. I've been digging into Vivian's past. Found 3 prior HOA disputes, all settled out of court, all with NDAs. She's a repeat offender. I'm building a case. I hung up and sat there in the dark, the space heater humming, and realized something. I wasn't alone anymore. That changed the math entirely. 2 weeks later, Beth called me while I was up on Blackwood's roof. Marcus, you need to see this. I'm coming over now. She pulled up with a cardboard file box and the kind of caffeinated energy that screams either breakthrough or breakdown. She'd requested 5 years of planning commission votes and made a spreadsheet. Vivian's votes on one side, development projects on the other. 7 controversial lakefront builds, all 7 approved by Vivian. All 7 were clients of her brokerage. Average commission, $22 grand each. But then she pulled out a brittle photocopy. Property records from 2019. Blackwood Manor pre-foreclosure. The original owner was in a nursing home. His daughter, Clara, was trying to manage the sale from Oregon. Stapled to the back was a notice of interest filed by Vivian Cross. Offer, $95,000. She tried to buy Blackwood, Beth said. Lowball offer. Claire rejected it. 6 months later, it went to auction. Vivian probably thought she'd just waltz in and grab it for pennies, flip it to a developer for $300 grand. Then you showed up and ruined her retirement plan. Then Beth handed me her phone. An email from Vivian's business account to Claire Collier. Subject, final offer, 3 sentences. Miss Collier, I urge you to reconsider my offer of $95,000. If you refuse, I will ensure the property is condemned as uninhabitable. The town will seize it via eminent domain, and you will receive nothing. This is your last opportunity to walk away whole. I read it once, twice. My vision tunneled. She threatened to destroy someone's inheritance if they didn't sell to her. Extortion in writing, using her public position as a weapon. This isn't HOA drama anymore, Marcus, Beth said. This is felony abuse of office. Criminal extortion. By midnight, the Albany news station ran the story. Comments exploded online. A contractor said she'd blocked his permits until he hired her nephew. A retired teacher claimed Vivian threatened violations when she wouldn't list with her brokerage. The town was excavating decades of buried grudges. A few weeks later, early December, I was inside Blackwood installing cabinet hardware. I heard a car pull up, something quiet and expensive. Vivian's white Range Rover. She sat behind the wheel, alone. No clipboard, no backup. Just her, staring straight ahead like she was working up courage. I walked down to meet her. She cracked her window exactly 2 inches. Her face looked 10 years older. Marcus, she said, her voice steady on the surface but brittle underneath, like ice over deep water. I'd like to make you an offer. $300,000 cash. We close in 30 days. You walk away clean, no lawsuit, no bad blood. And I'll make sure the DA drops the investigation. I leaned against my truck bed, arms crossed, and waited. You don't have that kind of pull anymore, Vivian. Your license is suspended. Your business is shuttered. You definitely can't make a DA drop criminal charges for extortion and fraud. Her hands went white-knuckled on the steering wheel. You don't know what I can still do. I have friends in this town, people who owe me. I smiled. Had friends. Past tense. And this house isn't for sale. Not to you. Not to anyone. That's when she snapped. The polished veneer cracked wide open. You stupid, stubborn... This place should be mine. I worked this town for 20 years. I built relationships. I invested. And you just show up with your sob story and your goddamn cameras and your... She gestured at my leg brace. Her face twisted with contempt. You think you deserve this? A guy like you? You think because you got hurt playing soldier, you get to just take what should have been mine? My jaw locked, heat rising despite the cold, but I kept my voice level. I didn't take anything. I bought it legally at public auction. And you can't stomach the fact that someone like me, a veteran with a limp and a disability check and zero political connections, gets to own a piece of this lake. That's what this is really about. Not codes, not safety. Just you thinking some people don't belong. Her face drained white. She'd heard herself. Heard what she just said out loud. Her eyes dropped to my collar, to the small black camera clipped there. Body cam. I'd been wearing it since the asbestos dumping. One-party consent state. You're recording? The horror in her voice wasn't a question. Every conversation on my property gets documented now, Vivian. You taught me that. Funny how lessons work. She slammed the Range Rover into reverse, tires shrieking on the gravel, and tore down the street doing 40 and a 25. I walked back inside and uploaded the footage. Her bribe offer. Her threat about controlling the DA. That venomous rant about me not deserving Blackwood. Every ugly word preserved forever. March, 14 months after I bought Blackwood Manor. The final county inspection happened on a Tuesday. The same inspector, Jerry, showed up, but with a different supervisor. 2 hours later, the supervisor signed off. 0 violations. Blackwood Manor was officially, legally, completely habitable. I stood on the front porch holding that certificate of occupancy like it was a birth certificate. In a way, it was. The house had been dead for a decade. Now it was alive. That weekend, I hosted an open house. 200 people came. Neighbors, volunteers, people who had just followed the whole saga online. The place gleamed. The oak staircase I'd spent 40 hours sanding and staining glowed like honey. The original stained glass windows, restored by a craftsman. Here's what I did with that restitution money and a chunk of the civil settlement. I partnered with the town library to create the Clara Grant Memorial Scholarship. A full ride for one local student per year studying a trade, carpentry, plumbing, electrical, welding. The skills that built this country and still pay the bills. Blackwood Manor got a second life, too. I live in the master suite. The other 5 bedrooms became a rotating artist residency. Painters, writers, musicians, free stays 3 months at a time. Only requirement, create something. The house that almost got demolished now hosts creativity. Poetic, maybe. Definitely intentional. On sunny mornings, I drink coffee on the dock and watch herons hunt in the shallows. My daughter, Maya, deferred her spring semester to help run the residency. We're closer now than we've been since she was a kid. She's learning carpentry. Says she might want to renovate houses like I did. I told her she's tougher than me. She laughed and said that's a low bar. I adopted a 3-legged rescue dog and named him Captain. Irony intended. He loves the lake. Chases geese he'll never catch. Some mornings I sit on that dock, Captain beside me, and I feel Clara's presence. Not in grief anymore, in pride. She wanted one of us to have a lake house. Mission accomplished, Grandma. The final thing I did was carve a sign from reclaimed oak. I hung it above the front door with brass hardware that'll outlast me. It reads, Blackwood Manor Est, 1924. Reborn 2025. Last week, a reporter asked if I had any regrets. I thought about it. The money, the stress, the fights, the sleepless nights. No, I said. I'd do it all again. Some things are worth fighting for. She asked, what's next? I smiled. There's a developer trying to condemn an entire street 2 towns over. Eminent domain abuse. The neighbors asked for help. Figured I'd share what I learned. She laughed. You're not done fighting? Ma'am, I said. I'm just getting started. So here's my question for you. What's the worst thing an HOA or a petty bureaucrat has ever done to you? Drop your story in the comments. The wildest one gets featured next week. And if you want to see how ordinary people beat corrupt systems, hit that subscribe button. We've got more fights to win. Thanks for watching. This is Marcus Grant, signing off from Blackwood Manor. They tried to bury me, but they didn't know I was a seed.